Good morning. My name is Kojo Modest from Toronto, and honored to be here with Pride leaders from across Canada. Pride Festival delivers significant cultural and economic impact, driving tourism, supporting Canadian talents, fostering inclusion, and strengthening our communities across the country. Government support for Pride strengthens Canadian image as an inclusive and welcoming country, positioning Canada as the leading destination for 2S LGBTQ plus tourism. Pride Festival directly benefits small businesses, and government investment helps to stabilize and expand those impacts, not only in major cities, but across Canada. Pride events create jobs across multiple sectors, contributing to both short-term employment and long-term economic impact. At a time when our community is under attack with the anti-DEI movement, Pride is a platform to empower local groups to provide necessary services. Pride Festival also supports individuals in finding a sense of belonging. Pride continues to create a platform for 2S LGBTQ plus communities to mobilize, advocate, and ensure equitable access to safety, services, and opportunities I'm now going to pass it on to Julie DeMarque from Fierté Timmins Pride and Joseph Wang from Vancouver Pride.
La fierté est sous pression. Avec le contexte économique actuel, le financement à court terme et imprévisible rend la planification à long terme pour toutes les organisations de la fierté. Les grandes fiertés voient leur commandite corporative diminuer, tandis que les plus petites n'y ont souvent pas accès ou de façon très limitée. Dans plusieurs régions, les organisations de la fierté sont souvent le seul espace visible et le seul réseau de soutien pour les communautés 2E LGBTQIA+. Elles comblent des besoins essentiels en matière de connexion, de sécurité et de sentiment d'appartenance avec des ressources limitées. La santé des communautés, c'est aussi la sécurité publique.
Rising costs in security, insurance, infrastructure, and accessibility are causing strain on organizers and the communities that we serve. Without the capacity or stable funding to absorb these costs, organizations are approaching a breaking point, forcing some significantly to rethink what Pride can look like moving forward. Pride festivals cannot disappear. When Pride spaces are reduced, the visibility and collective commitment to inclusion and human rights are weakened. Homophobia, transphobia, and racism and sexism don't just go away. They grow in that absence. Pride is one of the largest platforms we have to challenge these harms and make belonging visible. When we invest in Pride, we invest in safer, stronger communities for everyone. I'll pass this to Callie Metler from Ottawa Pride and Higino Montero from Fierté Montreal to outline our asks.
The Carney government has taken an important first step with security funding in Budget 2025. This funding is very welcome, but it's insufficient to meet our rising costs. We ask the federal government to create a stable Pride Festivals Support Fund, a modest, multi-year and targeted investment of $3 million annually over 3 years for a total of $9 million. This funding will protect approximately 200 free, accessible Pride festivals from coast to coast to coast to ensure that Canada's commitment to inclusion goes beyond the symbolic. Pride funding represents a low-cost, high-return investment. Compared to many government programs, Pride funding requires a relatively modest public investment while generating strong economic and social returns, leveraging private sponsorships and community contributions. We see this as an investment because Canadian Pride festivals make a major economic impact. Pride is a proven economic driver, generating over $2 billion annually in GDP, bringing in over $1.2 billion in taxable revenue, while also attracting millions of tourists, both domestic and international.
Ce financement vise à stabiliser et à faire croître les organisations de la fierté à travers le Canada, en soutenant notamment les artistes canadiens et canadiennes, la programmation culturelle, les organisations 2E LGBTQIA+, qui souffrent de sous-financement, le tourisme et le développement des destinations, le développement des économiques locales et l'engagement des petites entreprises, des événements durables, accessibles, gratuits et portés par les communautés partout au pays, ainsi que des coûts croissants qui sont liés à l'organisation des festivals de la fierté. Les organisations communautaires sont en première ligne du travail quotidien auprès du public. La fierté travaille à leur côté pour créer des espaces où leur travail est plus visible, soutenu, connecté, renforçant ainsi leur impact. Dans ce contexte, nous souhaitons également reconnaître que ce que nous avançons aujourd'hui est une réalité partagée par les autres organisations. Et nous demandons justement un engagement accru tant sur le plan financier que structurel qui est nécessaire pour assurer la pérennité des services offerts aux communautés tout au long de l'année. And with that, I turn it back over to Kodjo Modeste.
Supporting Pride isn't just about celebration. It's a smart public policy. It drives billions into the economy activities, strengthening tourism, supporting business, creating jobs, reinforcing Canada's global identity as an inclusive nation. At a time like this, we must be clear. Investing in Pride and the 2S LGBTQ plus community organizations is an investment in our community, and our government cannot afford to step back from this. At this time, we're open to any questions.
Dale Smith, I'm with Extra. Is this just security and infrastructure funding, or is there capacity funding and so on that are, I know there's been issues with that in the past as well?
So this is the security funding. This is separate from the security funding. This is funding to ensure that Pride festivals are able to operate infrastructure costs, bringing in talents and other areas.
So just break it down for me a little more in terms of what you mean by security funding and how that works for your organizations.
So we currently do receive security funding from the federal government. In fact, we receive $1.5 million that is divided for prides across Canada, and that covers things like paid duty officers, that covers private security, that covers vehicle mitigation, fencing, that helps to make sure that Pride Festival remains safe for the public. And my colleagues can please feel free to add.
And I think what the departure is in this new ask is that we are seeing our budgets are not stable, our funding is not stable. So as we continue to offer free and accessible events to the public, I mean, a local example in Ottawa is that we don't control our audience. So our audience is on an upward trajectory, it's continuing to grow, and we have to be able to put in the infrastructure to receive that many people in an outdoor open space. So this is really just allowing us to focus on making sure we can continue to welcome a growing audience while not sacrificing things like paying artists and continuing to make sure that those budget lines stay just where they're at.
Can you describe some of the threats that your organizations have been facing?
I think with the state of the economy and the DI rollbacks and the tariffs, we are noticing that our corporate sponsors are coming to the table, but it's not at the same place that they have been. So that's an example of a threat. We are noticing the hate towards 2S LGBTQIA groups that are affecting our prides as well. They are affecting our communities at a local grassroots rate, but also at a pride level as well. Yeah.
Just, I guess, how are your home municipalities responding to your own concerns as well?
I'll speak on behalf of Vancouver, just as an example. We are noticing festivals and celebrations across Vancouver shrinking, scaling back, and disappearing. We do not want to be one of those festivals. Prides across Canada, local, rural, small, medium, larges, are all being affected, but we're all engaging with our municipal partners. But we need partners from every level of government to come support Prides. And this federal ask is a fund for the federal government to support and stabilize Prides across Canada.
And I can add to that. I just am very grateful to be working with the mayor and city councillors in Toronto, and they have provided, between last year, significant increase in specifically addressing the safety concerns, the physical safety of prides and of festivals across Toronto. So the City of Toronto have stepped in to provide some funding, and we're grateful to be working. Prides work with all of the municipalities, and we're very grateful for whatever contribution that they bring to the table.
That's good for now.
We'll take a question from Zoom. Dylan Robertson, please go ahead.
Thanks for taking our questions. I'm wondering if you can speak to what work Pride boards are doing to prevent political issues from derailing the parades. We saw pro-Palestine protests kibosh the Capital Pride Parade in Ottawa last year. In Toronto, Black Lives Matter protests had halted the parade about a decade ago. Montreal Pride canceled the parade last minute in 2022. You're seeking federal funds and you're framing this as an investment. So I'm wondering what approaches you're taking to actually make sure that the marquee event is not fully disrupted.
Thank you for the question. And as we all know, Pride is political, and Pride will always be political. However, we create a platform for the 2S LGBTQ plus community that no other organization do. And we see this opportunity where an investment in Pride is an investment in the community. And the question is a valid question, but I think what we have done and what we have demonstrated over the past couple of years is that we, as Prides, we continue to invest into the economy. The economy grows. When you talk to the businesses on Church Street in Toronto, they talk about receiving over 50% of their annual income during Pride Month. And I think this is the story that, as 2S LGBTQ members of the community, that we want to get across, and we welcome conversations from everyone.
Do you have any more questions, Dylan?
Yeah, I have a follow-up. I'd welcome any more specificity on what work's being done about that. But my follow-up question is about security concerns. You spoke generally to Dale's concerns about what your security concerns are, and I'm just wondering if you could specify. I'm not trying to be grim, but just to explain to readers, we had Bryce Field last fall saying that the concerns around funding are to make sure that people don't get shot. So could you specify, is that the threat, or what exactly is the security threat that you're dealing with right now?
I can speak to that with a specific example, because our festival grounds are in the middle of the street, so in the middle of Centertown here in Ottawa. So a really big thing that we're dealing with, especially in the context of what happened with the Lapu Lapu Festival in BC, we're dealing with new guidelines around heavy vehicle mitigation in public streets. So making sure that we've got the correct infrastructure to dissuade and disallow any vehicles from entering highly dense populated areas where the festival is going on. And unfortunately, those are very real concerns that we do have to take seriously.
We have time for more questions. If you have some more, Dylan, go ahead.
I always do. Thanks so much. I'm wondering about how much of this has to deal with corporate sponsors pulling out. We saw Toronto's mayor sort of call out, I think it was Home Depot before. We know about Trump and DEI rhetoric. I'm just wondering in Canada, like how much of your coming onto the Hill today is specifically as a result of corporate sponsors pulling out, and how much of this is about other factors like the security concern?
Thanks for the question. I want to reiterate that, yes, we are seeing corporate sponsors pull back their investment into Pride. This can be for a multitude of reasons. DI pullbacks, the tariffs, they are not coming to the table at the level that they used to be. This is why we are asking the federal government for this new funding to support with the stabilizations of festivals and arts and cultures and prides across Canada. Yeah.
If I could just add to that, I think for small prides, often we don't have access to corporate sponsorships. And small prides are made up of groups of volunteers that are putting their time and effort into creating a space of belonging for individuals. And we often see that that space is the first space that somebody ever feels safe in, that they can be themselves and identify as themselves. And in small communities, the Pride is the 2S LGBTQ social service organization. We are the ones that deal with everything because there are no social service organizations that are Pride, that are queer specific. So Prides are especially important to help counter that hate in the world and really bring people together and talk about love, belonging, caring for community, and taking care of each other.
And I might just ask one more, sorry. Just wondering if you could specify the financial ask here. And I'm sorry, you did touch on it before, but I just wanted to make sure I've got this straight. No pun intended. Like in terms of how much of this is the security envelope, how much of this is the non-security envelope, is the 1.5 that exists sufficient under the security envelope? Like what are the actual numbers that you guys are seeking here?
Yeah, the 1.5 is a separate discrete envelope that deals with security costs. The ask that's coming in now is for $3 million or $9 million over 3 years, so $3 million a year. That's the investment, and that would be for us to keep up with rising infrastructure costs and rising costs post-COVID, and also just as my colleagues were saying, the kind of pullback in corporate sponsorship. That's the issue that we're trying to deal with this specific ask from this envelope.
Any more questions? Right, thank you. This concludes the press conference. Merci.
All right, so there you have it. I hope you'll give us a like, follow, and share our content. We appreciate your showing out. Thanks for being with us. Have a good morning.